Silent Hill 4 The Room originally released in 2004 for PlayStation 2, Xbox, and Windows PC, with this video being based off the PC version, specifically the fixed one from GOG, where they actually updated the game to not only make it playable on modern operating systems, but also brought in features that originally were omitted from the PC version in 2004, but more on that later. This game was developed by Team Silent and would be the last title they actually developed. I know people like to make the claim that, oh, this game was originally meant to be a Silent Hill game, but everything I've seen debunks that, shows no, this was meant to be a Silent Hill game, even if it is different, or also the only one of the Team Silent games that has a subtitle. Although you want to get technical, Silent Hill 2's Xbox release was called Silent Hill 2 Restless Dreams. So, technically not the first game they released to have a subtitle. The main premise is their protagonist, Henry Townshend, one day wakes up unable to leave his room with his door completely barricaded. Having no way of escaping or even contacting the outside world, he eventually finds a hole and just decides to jump out into it, which brings him to different worlds based on reality, but all generally having people that need his assistance because these places are infested with monsters. So it's up to Henry to figure out what's going on and to try and save these people before some mysterious person kills them because there's someone after all these people for some reason. Something I immediately know is that this game's environmental storytelling is freaking great. Whether it be environmental storytelling in the worlds, the environmental storytelling via Henry's apartment, or even outside the apartment so you can see from outside the windows, or even just outside your people and just see into the hallway. And something that has to do with the environment to take full advantage of it, even for puzzles at times, is freaking great and amazing. It really adds to this game, and it should, considering the apartment is a big focus, but just so many little details that even build up the game is super cool to see. I've seen many bash protagonists, Henry himself, as being either too put uninteresting. I like Henry, I like how he serves in the story. Granted, he's not, despite the way he's a protagonist and our player insert, he's not the star of the show. Other characters in this adventure, especially against villain, are the central star of the show. Henry is our vehicle to pretty much interact with it, and we are just as lost what's going on in this story with him. So his confusion and bits of awkwardness is like, yeah, he's got plunged in some monster-infested world, so kind of checks out he's not going to have the most normal reactions, you know. Plus, there's also details, whether it be in Henry's apartment, or even the way his neighbors in the building talk about him, where you highlight what kind of more personality he has and why his social awkwardness adds up more so when it comes to how he acts with the characters in the story. I also hope you like reading, because a lot of information is given to the player via notes you can read, though surprisingly, even without the notes, aside from the ones that are important for puzzles, even without the notes that are just more about what's going on in lore, there is a moment where characters do essentially just recap the key details. Even if you're not reading them, you'll still understand the general gist of the story, but the notes help explain more and go more into detail with what's going on. So it's best always look out for them. Like I said, a lot of them also generally give you hints and stuff for puzzles, so you definitely want to keep your eye out and pay attention to them. Overall, I like the story. It's not anything grand or amazing to blow your mind, but I like the fact that it's a constant mystery and the players given the details if they look hard enough throughout the environment to put the mystery together themselves, or see the mystery freaking unfolding in front of them, and that is super cool. One thing I'll mention, kind of know someone will, many people do, is people often complain that this game doesn't really take place in Silent Hill. It takes place in South Ashfield, which is close to Silent Hill, and there is one world you go to that does take place in Silent Hill, kind of, but overall you're not in Silent Hill itself. People complain about that because, well, the franchise Silent Hill, but you're not in Silent Hill. One, shut up, and two, considering the positive reception of the, at this point in this video, upcoming Silent Hill F, which also does not take place in Silent Hill, but people are clapping for that in its new setting, I feel like the argument of saying a Silent Hill game has become moot, especially if you play the game Silent Hill Short Message, that does try to add more when it comes to what exactly happens in Silent Hill settings and locales, you know? Now for the gameplay, which is broken up into two sections. The main section will be survival aspects, where you're able to go around, get items, solve puzzles, but you also have combat, with you only have a dodge button, but also the ability to charge up your weapons. With this being able to have a powerful attack that can be useful to knock enemies down so you can immediately stomp them out, but during the attack animation, you are completely invincible. Nothing can hit you, so you might want to take that to your advantage, especially with some enemies. So you have that to add forward to, although you do have a limited inventory in this entry, and I feel like it's fine. The size you have is pretty good. My issue is more so some things should stack, like the bullets that weirdly stack in your storage but not in your inventory, so there's stuff like that like a bit weird. But I feel like overall the amount of space you have is fine, especially since it being always active, because you don't pause use items to do it in real time, does also make it to the way the action is way more frantic, because enemies coming after you, you need to quickly switch to your heal before it's too late and not die and stuff like that. Now, for the second section is Henry's apartment, where it's nice and cozy, nice and quiet, not even any music playing whatsoever, and generally you'll be here for your storage, maybe try and find some more notes, maybe look around the outside world, a peephole to your neighbor's apartment, or the people at your front door. Try and get some normalcy, and just try to reach out to the outside world. But in these segments, your HP automatically recovers, so there's not a lot of healing items in the actual worlds themselves to find, but it's just a cozy place to relax and remember that even at your home, you still ain't safe. Now in the worlds as you explore, the enemy variety isn't too great, I would say, but a lot of the time you will be dealing with ghosts. Ghosts can harm you, but also harm you just by being next to you as well. So when you're in the room, you want to get away, so kind of basically stalk your enemies. Although they can follow you to rooms, not a lot of rooms. You have a limit of how far they can go, and there's many different ghosts that can come after you. You can also knock them down if you have one. Use this item called a Sword of Obedience to pin them down and make them a non-issue. But you only have 5 of those swords the entire game, and in my playthrough you only found 4 out of 5, and you need to pick them back up if you want to use them again, so it's not a permanent solution unless you really want to pretty much get that ghost out of the way and done for. So there are ways to circumvent the ghosts. Another cool thing with the gameplay is the fact that because you have both Henry's apartment and these worlds to traverse, they do have fun bits where you need to use both of these things in order to solve puzzles and progress through the game in very fun and unique ways, even in ways that took me a bit to really figure out what the game wanted me to do, but it is super cool how they managed to integrate both aspects into puzzle solving. Even though there's a part that much in it, the stuff it has in it helps, especially since the worlds you're going to are generally locales from South Ashfield. Now, let's take everything I just said, and now we gotta twist it a bit when it comes to this game's second half. The second half of the game is now an escort mission, with you need to escort characters throughout the worlds, because it's not necessarily backtracking, but you go to the world's second time, this time going through different parts of the world and doing different puzzles, so it does keep things fresh in that way, but they are the same locales. On top of the fact of how much damage the escort takes, it'll change your ending. Now, there are ways to circumvent this, such as escort having the ability to equip certain weapons, which can definitely help out, or the fact that enemies will always primarily go after Henry, so as long as he's around, they will focus on him. There's also hidden mechanics as well. Game doesn't really explain this well, like you can sort of kind of heal the escort, but it's like very minimal. Just like spam the ability to do it multiple times. There is also this rumor that's been debunked that, oh, if you use this holy candle, it'll heal the escort. No, we're not. It will temporarily heal them so they can walk around faster, but it will not actually heal them. And there are also some enemy attacks that won't even affect the escort whatsoever. I forgot to mention, the escort cannot die. They are immortal. The downside to taking damage is that it makes them more possessed, which like I said, will alter your ending. So you don't want them taking hits, but like I said, it's honestly not that hard to have them not take hits, really. So honestly, I didn't find it too bad unless you're like trying to just make beeline it, which you shouldn't do, because I said enemies will target Henry so long as he's around. but you try to leave the escort by themselves, then of course the enemies will start jumping them instead. On top of this change is also the change to the apartment second half, where now there's no more free healing, and there will be these hauntings to stop, otherwise they deal damage, and even a haunting to your apartment will also change your ending. And this is something that was altered in the original PC release, where some of the haunting effects would just not be in the original PC release of 2004, but like I said, the GOG version of this game fixes that, and now it's on par with the console version. Actually, this version is probably better because of the fact that now it has native widescreen, higher resolution, and just looks prettier as well. So there is that. Like I said, those hauntings are back, and you want to deal with them the moment they happen. Now, for one of my weird gripes I've been saving, is the weird sound design choices. Specifically the fact of the sound design when it comes to the enemies. Because the enemies all essentially use these, like, royalty-free sound effects, which isn't a bad idea. It's the fact that some of them don't really fit the monsters you're fighting, and honestly, having them play multiple times back to back kind of gets more annoying, and there are some enemies that basically feel like any horror intention gets eroded because you're probably laughing at the choice of sound effect used for that monster. Even when I first played this game, a freaking royalty-free scream that I played made me think my friend was playing a joke on me that wasn't actually from the game. It was in fact from the game, and it just made me laugh. So, weird choices when it comes to the sound for the enemies. I get it, they're royalty-free, but I don't know, some of them just feel off and don't really feel like they detract from the horror rather than actually add to them. Some of them you can understand what they're going for, but the sound effect choice in question is what ruins. Not the idea, but the effect you're using makes it come off as more comedic when they probably didn't intend for that to be the case. Overall, I like Silent Hill 4 The Room. It's still my favorite Silent Hill entry. I just find the mystery more interesting and unique. Even if it's not the greatest plotline, but the fact that I put together and figured it out is just way more fun for me, especially with environmental storytelling. The ghost stalker enemies are one of the enemies I like, so they have a limit, and you have ways to essentially temporarily combat them. That's the important part. These are temporarily combat them. These sorts of obedience are not permanent solutions, so you have a more pick and choose aspect to them. There are also other stalker enemies that do show up, but those stalker enemies, once again, have more own unique mechanics how they operate, which once again keeps things fresh and nice, and I actually really like that as the gameplay. At least like half of the game gets bashed for being essentially one long escort mission, but the escort mission I feel works well since enemies primarily focus on Henry, and there are sections where you do leave the escort alone for a bit in order to try and solve some puzzles to get them to maneuver. So there is that aspect. I want them 24/7, but even just give them an item in order to help them fight the enemies. They will get stuff done and will help you out. I remember points where I'd be getting attacked by a ghost and the freaking escort will just walk up and smack the ghost and make them to stop. So they are very helpful. So there is stuff like that I feel works. Honestly, I feel like the hatred of escort mission is overblown, especially since people hate this escort mission, how it affects the ending. It's another Silent Hill game that's very popular, it kind of does the exact same thing. But that's beside the point. Anyway, this game is just fun to play, cool, fresh ideas. I understand people complain that it's very different. Silent Hill 2 is also very different. That's also cool. So there's just a lot of stuff to appreciate in trying to shake things up with the formula, with the new cast, but also having callbacks to Easter eggs to previous entries, if that's also included. So that's also cool. Either way, it's just a cool game, and I just really like Silent Hill 4 The Room. And this time I got a better ending than the initial playthrough I did back in the day. But I really think that GOG fixed up this port, made it better. Now it's very much the best way to play Silent Hill 4 The Room. It makes me hope they could do that for other Silent Hill games, like other Silent Hill games. I know 2 and 3 got PC ports. I know 2 has a good PC fan fix port as well. But 3? What about Silent Hill 3's PC port? Can you fix that one too? I don't know Silent Hill 1 a PC port. Can we get Silent Hill Homecoming's PC port to not be trash anymore? So, it gives hope that there'll be more done with the franchise PC release, especially since GOG has a whole entire program dedicated to trying to bring back classic games and fix up their PC ports. Overall, like I said, this game, very cool. I like it a lot for a Silent Hill game. That is all. Good day.